Back to school is busy enough. The last thing you need is shopping that makes it harder. Whether you're moving into a dorm, your first apartment, or just getting organized for the semester, Wayfair makes it easy to get everything you need in one place. Furniture, bedding, storage, decor, study essentials, all at prices you'll love, with fast shipping before move-in day. Get everything you need for back-to-school season. Shop Wayfair.com today.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hi, my name is Nikki, and I'm the daughter of a murdered woman. Welcome back to a special bonus episode of Papi Killed Mommy. As many of you know, I have just returned from my very first CrimeCon, a 3-day event in Denver where I had the opportunity to share my mom's story with the true crime community face to face. It was one of the most emotional, overwhelming, but unforgettable weekends of my life. Let's start at the beginning. I loaded up the car with my best friend from work, Melissa, and of course my little sidekick and emotional support dog, Dickie Birdie. Together we hit the open road, a 900-mile journey from Phoenix to Denver. What should have been a 12-hour drive on the way there turned into 14 thanks to an accident and a reroute on I-40. We ended up winding through dark mountain back roads in the pouring rain and fog in the middle of the night, with huge deers threatening to throw themselves in front of our car at any moment. It was terrifying at times, but we kept each other laughing and we powered through by listening to hours and hours of Crime Weekly. Melissa totally introduced me to them. I had never heard of them before this weekend, but by the time we reached Denver, Derek and Stephanie had basically kept us company the entire way. And by the end of the trip, they had officially become one of my new favorite podcasts. We finally arrived in Denver at 3 a.m., up at 9 a.m. to get to the convention hall to set up the table. When we walked in, I didn't expect the wave of emotions that hit me. Within minutes, I spotted the very first famous person who had covered my mom's case, Cheryl Lynn Dale. Not only has she covered my mom's case, but she was so respectful. She also donated money to get me to CrimeCon. The second I saw her, I just burst into tears, full-on sobbing. It was overwhelming to suddenly be standing in the same place as people who had spoken my mom's name out loud on their platforms, who had helped amplify her story to the world. And then it was like a snowball. I hadn't even been set up for half an hour before one of the guys from Generation Y stopped by. I'll be honest, I don't even know which one of them it was, but all I remember is feeling starstruck. These were people I had listened to from afar, and now they were standing right in front of me, acknowledging my mom's story. Throughout the weekend, so many people stopped by my booth to meet me, to hear my mom's story, and to tell me they had already heard about Papi Killed Mommy. That alone was just overwhelming in the best way. But then there were the podcasters, Generation Y, Killer Queens, Navigating Advocacy, Crime Salad, Moms and Mysteries. All of these shows, all of these creators, all in one space. But the biggest highlight for me personally, meeting the people who had actually covered my mom's case. It felt surreal. There was also the large media giants, Court TV, Dateline, Law and Crime. At one point, I walked right past Vinnie Politan, and I'll admit I didn't have the guts to introduce myself, but just to be in that same space, surrounded by people I had only ever seen on screens, was an incredible experience. The entire weekend was a roller coaster of emotions, pride, sadness, gratitude, exhaustion, and pure joy. For me, the most amazing part, though, wasn't just meeting the famous podcasters and creators. It was meeting the listeners, the survivors, the families, the advocates, the people who stopped at my booth, looked me in the eyes, and told me they cared about my mom's story. Now, here's something else that came out of CrimeCon that I wasn't expecting. While I was there, I was approached by a company that wants to help monetize Papi Killed Mommy. At first, my gut reaction was no. I've always been very vocal about not wanting to profit from my mom's story. I didn't want anyone to think I was exploiting her murder for money. But then I spent 3 days talking to other podcasters, other advocates, and friends in the community, and I realized something. If I want to keep doing this, if I want to keep taking my mom's story to events like CrimeCon, if I want to get her case out to the world, I can't keep asking my listeners to carry the financial burden. I've made the decision to monetize the rest of Season 1 and all of Season 2, not because I want to cash in on my mom's story, but because I want to keep her story alive, keep fighting for justice, and keep building this platform, which brings me to the big announcement. Season 2 of Papi Killed Mommy is officially happening. So exciting. Season 1 will always belong to my mom. It will continue until there is some kind of resolution or until there is a day when I no longer have breath in my body. But Season 2 is going to be different. In Season 2, I will be covering other cases of domestic violence, cases that deserve to be told, just like my mom's. And I won't be doing it alone. My best friend Melissa, the same one who road tripped to Denver with me, who spent 5 days straight side by side with me, who held me up when I was sobbing, and who kept me laughing when I was overwhelmed, will be joining me as my co-host. Yay! Melissa is a true crime junkie. She knows the community, she knows the players, and she has the kind of passion and perspective that balances perfectly with my voice as a daughter and a survivor. Together, we're going to bring new energy, new conversation, and new advocacy to Papi Killed Mommy. If you stop by my booth at CrimeCon, you probably already met Melissa. If not, you'll get to know her soon. And I think you'll love the banter we bring as we take on Season 2 together. So here's where you come in. If you know of a domestic violence case that needs attention, a case that deserves to be told, please email me at papikilledmommy@gmail.com. PAPI killedmommy@gmail.com. Melissa and I would love to read your suggestions and consider them for future episodes. I sure hope you'll stick with us as we explore unknown cases of domestic violence. Last thing before I wrap up this bonus episode, I want to share something important. Over the last several weeks, I've received multiple emails from both the Yavapai County Attorney's Office and the Sedona Police Department regarding my mom's case. When you line them up in order, a very clear picture begins to form, and it's not the one they want us to see. On August 28th, Yavapai County Attorney's Office emailed me and told me investigators and prosecutors had reviewed the case file, met with Sedona detectives, and an additional investigation had been requested. This sounded encouraging, like something new was finally being done, and I told everybody that stopped by my booth at CrimeCon about this email. Just days later, their language shifted. This time, they said their office and the Sedona Police Department continue to work leads that arise from ongoing investigation, but admitted there was no timeline, and progress would only happen if any new information was uncovered. That phrase, if any, is critical. It means they're waiting for something to fall into their laps rather than actively pursuing the case. Sedona confirmed that they met with the county attorney but described the work differently. Instead of an additional investigation, they called it their annual review. They made it clear it was routine, not a fresh or an urgent push. In a longer response, Sedona explained they were following up in some areas because the county attorney relayed my concerns, but emphasized they could not give me a timeline. They also clarified that records or reports would come from Yavapai, not from them. In other words, don't ask us, ask them. Later that day, the Sedona Police Department sent me another email. Finally, I received the blunt truth. This is quotes. Right now, this is in cold case review. That was it. No more spin, no more hopeful wording. It was the reality that my mom's murder is not being actively investigated. It sits in a file occasionally looked at during an annual review, but no urgency. The county attorney's office wants to make it sound like progress is being made, using words like ongoing investigation and an additional investigation requested, but Sedona Police Department eventually admitted what's really happening. This is a cold case review, nothing more. So here's the truth. My mom's case is not being treated as an open homicide investigation. It's being kept alive on paper, but not actively worked. The two agencies can't even keep their language consistent, and that contradiction alone shows how little transparency there really is. This matters because words like review or ongoing might sound reassuring, but they don't guarantee action, and my mom's case deserves more than paperwork and vague promises. She was a real person. She was my mother, and she deserves justice. That's why I'll keep speaking out. That's why I'm asking you, the public, my listeners, my community, to stand with me. Demand transparency. Demand accountability. Demand that my mom's case be treated as what it is, an unsolved homicide, not just a cold case review checked off once a year. So once again, here's my call to action, and I'll include all of the phone numbers and emails in the show notes, but please do call or email the Yavapai County's Attorney's Office. Call or email the Sedona Police Department. And don't forget the Red Rock News. Quick editorial note, in my last episode, I mistakenly referred to the editor of the Red Rock News as Christopher Larson. His name is actually Christopher Fox Grant. The Larsons are the owners of the paper. I've also emailed the owner, Kyle Larson, I believe his name is, directly about their coverage of my mom's case. To date, I have not received a response back. But looking back at my first CrimeCon experience, it was so much more than just an event. It was proof that people care, proof that my mom's story matters, and a reminder that even 3 decades later, I'm not alone in this fight. So to everyone I met in Denver, everyone who stopped by my booth, everyone who listened, everyone who hugged me, and everyone who has downloaded an episode of Papi Killed Mommy, thank you. You made this one of the most amazing experiences of my life. To Melissa, thank you for taking this adventure with me. I can't wait to see what the future has in store for us. And to my mom, I'll never stop telling your story. I'll be back next week with the continuation of my mom's season. Thank you for listening.
I think when you're diagnosed with cancer, you crave a semblance of normalcy and control, and so work allowed me to be me. So I think it's really important that companies stay flexible. Cancer and a diagnosis can be all-consuming, but it doesn't have to be.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.